everybody, this is Ray from the Great Falls Public Library, and this is part 2 of Neil Gaiman and Skottie Young's Fortunately the Milk. Let's recap what happened last time. Our family was all out of milk, so the dad went out to get some, but on the way back, he was abducted by some squishy green creatures in this flying metal disc. But fortunately, he was able to make a daring escape via an emergency exit. And when we left him, he was falling. Let's see what happens next. I was falling. Fortunately, I had kept hold of the milk, so when I splashed into the sea, I didn't lose it. "What was that?" said a woman's voice. "A big fish? A mermaid? Or was it a spy?" I wanted to say that I wasn't any of those things, but my mouth was full of seawater. I felt myself being hauled up on deck of the little ship. There were a number of men and women on the deck, and they all looked very cross, very grumpy. "Who be ye, landlubber?" said the woman, who had a big hat on her head and a parrot on her shoulder. Here she is. "He's a spy, a walrus in a coat, a new kind of mermaid with legs," said the men. "What are you doing here?" asked the woman. "Well," I said, "I just set out to the corner shop for some milk for my children's breakfast and for my tea, but the next thing I knew, he's lying, your majesty." She pulled out her cutlass. "You dare lie to the queen of the pirates?" Fortunately, I had kept tight hold of the milk, and now I pointed to it. If I did not go to the corner store to fetch the milk, I asked them, then where did this milk come from? At this, the pirates were completely speechless. "Now," I said, "if you could please let me off somewhere near my destination, I would be much obliged to you." "And where would that happen to be?" said the queen of the pirates. "On the corner of Marshall Road and Fletcher Lane," I said. "My children are waiting there for their breakfast." "You're on a pirate ship now, my fine bucko," said the queen pirate, "and you don't get dropped off anywhere. There are only two choices. You can join my pirate crew or refuse to join, and we will slit your cowardly throat, and you will go to the bottom of the sea, where you will feed the fishes." "What about walking the plank?" I asked. "Never heard of it," said the pirates. "Walking the plank," I said. "It's what all the proper pirates do. Look, I'll show you. Do you have a plank anywhere?" It took some looking, but we found a plank, and I showed the pirates where to put it. We discussed nailing it down, but the pirate queen decided it was safer just to have the two fattest pirates sit on the end of it. "Why exactly do you want to walk the plank?" asked the pirate queen. I edged onto the plank. The blue Caribbean water splashed gently beneath me. "Well," I said, "I've seen lots of stories about pirates, and it seems to me that if I'm going to be rescued..." At this, all of the pirates started to laugh so hard their stomachs wobbled, and the parrot took off into the air in amazement. "Rescue," they said. "There's no rescue out here. We're in the middle of the sea." Nevertheless, I told them, if you are going to be rescued, it is always in the middle of walking the plank. "Which we don't do," said the pirate queen. "Here, have a Spanish doubloon and come and join us in our piratical adventures. It's the 18th century, she added. That's the 1700s. "And there's always room for a bright, enthusiastic pirate." I caught the doubloon. "I almost wish I could," I told her, "but I have children and they need their breakfast." "Then you must die! Walk the plank!" I edged to the end of the plank. Sharks were circling, so were piranhas. And this was where I interrupted my dad for the first time. "Hang on," I said. "Piranhas are freshwater fish. What were they doing in the sea?" "You're right," said my father. "The piranhas were later. So, right now, I was out on the end of the plank, facing certain death, when a rope ladder hit my shoulder, and a booming voice shouted, "Quickly, climb up the rope Who do you think that is who dropped the rope ladder? I needed no more encouragement than this, and I grabbed the rope ladder with both hands. Fortunately, the milk was pushed deep into my coat pocket. The pirates hurled insults at me and even discharged their pistols, but neither insults nor pistol shots found their targets, and I soon made it to the top of the rope ladder. I'd never been in the basket of a hot air balloon before. It was very peaceful up there. The person in the balloon basket said, "I hope you don't mind me helping, but it looked like you were having problems down there." I said, "You're a stegosaurus." "I am an inventor," he said. "I have invented the thing we are traveling in, which I call Professor Steg's floaty ball person carrier." "I call it a balloon," I said. "Professor Steg's floaty ball person carrier is the original name," he said. "And right now we are 150 million years in the future." "Actually," I said, "we are about 300 years in the past." "Do you like hard, hairy, wet, white crunches?" he asked. "Coconuts," I guessed. "I named them first," said Professor Steg. He picked up a coconut from the basket and ate it, shell and all, just as you or I might crunch toast. He showed me his time machine. He was very proud of it. It was a large cardboard box with several pebbles on it and stones stuck to the side. There was also a large red button. I looked at the stones. "Hang on," I said. "Those are diamonds and sapphires and rubies." "Actually," he said, "I call them special shiny clear stones, special shiny bluey stones, and, special shiny red stones," I suggested. "Indeed," he said. "I call them that when I was inventing my really good move-through-time machine 150 million years ago." "Well," I told him, "it was very lucky for me that you turned up when you did and rescued me. I am slightly lost in space and time right now, and I need to get home to my children in order to make sure they get the milk for their breakfast." I showed it to him. "This is the milk. Although I expect that 150 million years ago you called it white, wet, drinky stuff." "Dinosaurs are reptiles, sir," said Professor Steg. "We do not go in for milk." "Do you go in for breakfast cereal?" I asked. "Of course," he said. "Dinosaurs love breakfast cereal, especially the kind with nuts in it." "What do you have on your cereal?" I asked. "Orange juice mostly, or we just eat it dry. But I shall put this in my book. In the distant future, small mammals put milk on their breakfast cereal. I shall write a wonderful book when I return to the present." "Actually," I said, "I think this is definitely the past. It has pirates in it." It's the future," he said. "All dinosaurs have gone off into the stars, leaving the world to the mammals." "I wondered where you all went," I said. "The stars," he told me. "That is where we will have gone." "So," I said, "can you take me home?" "Well," he said, "yes and no." "What does that mean?" "Yes, I would love to take you home. Nothing would make me happier. No, I cannot take you home. In all honesty, I do not believe that I can take me home. My time machine is being temperamental. I need a special shiny green stone. I have pressed the button many times, but nothing happens." "Button? Don't you mean big red flat pressy thing?" I asked. "I most certainly do not. It is a button. I named it after my Aunt Button." "Can I press it?" "If you wish." I pressed the button. The sun shot around the sky, and the sky started flickering in nights and in days, and the balloon began to rock and lurch and zoom around like an angry fly. I held on to the ropes as hard as I could. Fortunately, I was still keeping tight hold of the milk in my right hand. When we stopped being blown all around the sky, it was night, and according to Professor Steg, we had only gone back about 1,000 years. The moon was nearly full. "I am even further from my children and our breakfast," I said. You have your milk," he said. "Where there is milk, there is hope." "Ah, over there. That looks like a perfect landing platform for time-traveling scientists in floaty ball person carriers." We landed on the platform and got out. The platform stuck up out of the jungle and had flaming torches on either side. There are people standing on it with sharp stone knives. Is this a balloon landing platform? I asked the people. It is not, said a fat man. It is our temple. We had a very bad harvest last year, and we just asked the gods to send us a sacrifice to make sure that this year's harvest is better when you floated down in that thing with your monster. Thank you, by the way, said a thin little man. I was going to be sacrificed if no one else turned up. Much obliged. So now we will sacrifice you and your monster. But my children are waiting for their breakfast. I said, look, and I held up the milk. Why did they all just fall on their knees? Asked Professor Steg. Is this usual hairless mammal behavior? Perhaps we should hold up some hard, hairy, wet, white crunchers and see what happens. Coconuts, I told him. They are called coconuts. What is that you're holding? The fat man asked. Milk, I answered. Milk, they exclaimed, and they prostrated themselves on the ground. We have a prophecy, said the fat man, that when a man and a spiny-backed monster descend from the skies on a round floaty thing, floaty ball person carrier, said the little thin man. Yes, one of those. We were told that when that happens, if the man held up milk, then we were not to sacrifice them, but we were meant to take them to the volcano and give them as a present the green jewel that is the Eye of Splod. Splod? Splod. He is the god of people with short, funny names. It is, I said, a remarkably specific prophecy. When did you receive it? Last Wednesday, said the fat man proudly. A priest of Splod was woken in the night by... The priest of Splod was woken in the night by a voice whispering from the heavens. And then he went to look and see who it was, and there was nobody there. Also, he was sleeping on top of the temple, and so nobody else could have been up there with him. So it must have either been Splod himself talking or one of his angelic messengers. We walked together down the jungle path. Professor Steg carried the rope in his mouth that led up to the balloon, and he dragged the balloon along. After half an hour, we reached the volcano. It was not a very big volcano. There were wisps of smoke coming from the top of it. On the side of the volcano, there was a carving of a big, scary face with one giant eye in the middle of its forehead. The eye was the biggest emerald I had ever seen. Do you see the emerald? A special shiny greeny stone, said Professor Steg, his mouth full of rope. The fat man clambered up the side of the volcano. It is a good thing that Splod himself told us to give you the Eye of Splod, said the little thin man who had narrowly avoided being sacrificed. Because there is another prophecy that says if the Eye of Splod is ever removed, great Splod will awaken and spread burning destruction across the land. Here you go, said the fat man. He handed us the emerald. Professor Steg nipped up the rope ladder into the balloon's gondola and began to install the emerald in his time machine. Hang on! He was a stegosaurus? Yes, he was. Then how could he just nip up a rope ladder? He was, my father said, a large stegosaurus, but very light on his feet. And there are fat people who are very excellent dancers. Are there any ponies in this? Asked my sister. I thought there would be ponies by now. Do you hope there are ponies in this story too? So, what do you think is going to happen next? Do you think the volcano will erupt because the Eye of Splod has been removed? Do you think there will be ponies? Come back for part 3 and see. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.